don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD, Annabel, and Melissa.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Melissa.
Hello. We've got two beautiful ladies today.
Well, I mean, more than I can handle almost, I'm sure. Melissa, it's great to see you.
You too.
All the way from the other side of Florida. Maggie, it's great to see you. Hey, guys, listen, we got a wonderful show today. We got Maggie here. Maggie owns and operates Salted Homes. She is the flipping queen of the Emerald Coast. Maggie, we're so excited to have you on today. And I can't wait to share your story with our audience. Usually the way we get started is just have you introduce yourself, and we'll take the conversation wherever we need to go from there.
Well, sounds good. Hey guys, it's so nice to see you, hear you. Thank you so much for having me. It is quite the honor to be on the Jam podcast. It's been a while since I've seen you guys, but I've been keeping up with what you're doing. So yeah, my name's Maggie Médal. My husband, Dan, and I flip houses here on the Emerald Coast. I don't know about being the queen of flipping in the Emerald Coast, but we sure do try. So our company is Salted Homes. And like I said, Dan and I are the owner operators, primarily flipping in Panama City and Panama City Beach, but maybe expanding our operation here soon. So we will see.
Ooh, some secret stuff. I love it.
You got a secret market you're opening up. I like it.
Well, maybe it's a new market. Maybe it's a new arm of our business. Who knows?
Okay. Always keeping us guessing. I appreciate that.
Very nice.
Well, Maggie, I think that our audience would be super interested in hearing how you guys got your start and kind of the transition of just doing this on the weekends kind of thing to where you guys have gotten now and how you've transitioned to kind of the full-time gig.
Yeah. How much time do you have?
As much time as you need, but Melissa's the one we'll just kick her out if it starts to run long.
That's fine. If I disappear.
All right. Well, so let's see. I'll take you back to the beginning because I do think it's an interesting story. So I moved out to Colorado after I graduated from Penn State, and was kind of living the ski bum life for a while, which was great because it allowed me to meet my husband, Dan. But eventually I decided, being broke is really like not cool. I want to buy stuff and I need more lift tickets. So, I got into the corporate rat race. So I worked for several Boulder tech startup companies, which was great. The money was great. The experience was just what I needed to realize that I'm just not cut out to work for someone else.
I love the way you put a positive spin on that.
It was very clear very quickly, although, you got to pay the bills. So I did spend about 10 years working in corporate, but the last couple of years of that, I was really driven. I was spending a lot of my off hours trying to think about, okay, how do I get out of this? How do I work for myself? What kind of business can we start? So we're in the Boulder, Denver market out in Colorado. And it was funny, the company that I had been working for at the time, my sales territory was the Northeast. So I went to Boston a lot. And on one of these trips and in some of the research I had done, you guys know, like the paint night where you go out with your girlfriends and
painting with a twist.
Yes, exactly. So one of the sort of business opportunities I had found that I could probably start on the side while keeping my sales job was this paint night opportunity. And they happened to be headquartered in Boston. So I had submitted several requests to this company to like get an interview, like get somebody to talk to me, and I wasn't hearing back from anyone. So me being the genius little creep that I am, I dropped up into their like customer service queue and I was like, hey, I don't need customer service, but I am the person that you want to be launching your Denver market. And so somebody got back to me, and it just happened to work out that I was in Boston and I got to meet with their HR person. So that was our first foray into like entrepreneurship, running a business, and it was just great experience. So Dan and I worked together on that business. We grew and built the Denver market for paint night from the ground up. And over the course of 3 years, I mean, we were doing gross revenues over $300,000 a year.
Wow.
We had a staff of 12 event hosts that were working for us. We had several storage units that we were managing inventory. So from an overall business perspective, like learning how we do taxes for a business, learning how you manage inventory, how you manage a staff, that was all really, really good experience. But the net profit at the end of the day was good, but it wasn't necessarily going to allow us to live the lifestyle that we had become used to with the sales job, right? And so I said, well, I had always been interested in real estate. And again, we were out in Denver, which is, as you guys know, where Bigger Pockets is headquartered. So I had always had an interest in real estate. I never thought it would be like accessible to me without like a ton of money at my disposal to start buying properties. So we go to a couple of the Denver Bigger Pockets meetups, and I'm just like brain melted, mind blown, like it's all possible. In a really quick amount of time. So I had been thinking, oh gosh, this is like, we got to save, and we got to save for years and years before we can buy a property. So this is around 2015, right? So I'm still working corporate. We're running this business. We have a little bit of extra cash. And I knew that the real estate market was in this little mountain town that I had spent like half of my ski bum years, right? I knew the market there was like on the rise, but still we could get in and buy something like if we did it quickly. So we basically like scratched and begged and borrowed and stole to get into our first primary home. So we were no longer renting. And this is all like from, the motivation that I had gotten from going to a couple of these meetups in Denver. I'm like, oh my God, we need to buy a house. We need to do it now. So thankfully we've been working on our credit, and we had literally like we did an FHA loan, put as little down as possible. I think we ended up like 15,000, maybe a little less, to get into this house with an FHA loan. So the purchase price was $380,000, right? This was in 2015. I worked a couple more years corporate, did more learning about the real estate thing. And by 2018, the appreciation in that home was so massive that, and my education and like learning and networking in real estate had come so far that we decided to sell that property. And the business was great, but like I said, that kind of events business was never going to like give us the type of return that was going to allow us to retire, kind of thing. And I knew that it was also the type of business that would kind of crest and then the wave would kind of hit the shore and it would kind of be over. So I said, this is the time. The business is kind of plateaued. And 2018, we listed the house. We bought it for $380,000 in 2015. We sold it for $580,000 in 2018. So we walked with a big chunk of capital that then we brought with us down here to Panama City Beach. And we all know what happened in the fall of 2018. Hurricane Michael blows through. We literally didn't know if we had a house to come to. The week after the hurricane, we were closing on the sale of our Colorado home. So thankfully, our place was okay, but now we found ourselves in this market with a ton of opportunity to flip. So we did, like, while it was very tempting to jump in and just start buying properties, We didn't. I was like, it's crazy right now. There's no contractors available. Yes, there's like deals to be had, but I said, let's just like hold our horses and focus on networking.
Yeah.
And so in the first, I think it was like 9 months that we were here before we purchased our first flip project in August of 2019. So we waited a little bit, like we made some connections. I think Melissa, you and I met during that time frame.
We did.
And then JD, we met out at Flip Hacking Live that fall of 2019, and Annabel. So I felt a lot more comfortable by that point, like taking that the capital that we had from the sale of the home in Colorado and really starting to put it to work on the flips, which is what we did. And then I think by the end of 2019, we had 2 more under contract. And since then we've been going at a pretty good clip, flipping houses and just refining our process and operations and getting better at it. So I know that's a long intro, but that's kind of like, I wanted you to see the arc of that story. It wasn't just we came from a W-2 background and jumped in and started flipping. Like, we were lucky to really get some good experience in entrepreneurship and business operations before we took that into real estate, into flipping, which, as we all know, if you're conservative, can be a pretty sure shot, but can be a little bit of a risky game, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's where we've been, and that's where we are now.
This is a question, and it might even make you sick to your stomach. But I'm wondering, with the way that the market has been just recently, have you looked up that house that you sold in Colorado recently and see what it's valued at now? Or do you just want to pretend that never existed?
Oh, no. I have my updates on every month. I get the update on what the value is. So it's close to 700 now.
Yeah. But you
but
wouldn't have been able to start everything else if you hadn't got it.
Exactly. My net worth has increased much more than the delta between what I sold it for and what that property is worth now. So that's the way I look at it,
JD, I would be haunted with, I should have bought every property after the hurricane.
That's really it. But how long are we going to hold those? And nobody had at that time. We assumed that everything was going to come back and be good and everything, but nobody really knew. Nobody knew how the insurance stuff was going to pay out. So, now if there's another hurricane like that, I'll know exactly what to do, because we had it before. I don't want that to happen, but if it did, I'd know how to handle it. But at that time, especially coming in where you hadn't had a ton of real estate experience before, I think you played it smarter than a lot of other people were. And really, that 9 months is still a pretty short time from not being a flipper to being a flipper too. I know guys at the local RIAs who come every single month, for the last 6 years and still haven't bought a house. So, there's definitely it's relative whether you think it's a fast or slow game. You're 9 months there, but I think it's pretty quick, and you were able to do it smart.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think what we had talked about before we started recording, and that me and Melissa are both really interested in, and I think a lot of other people would be too, is working not just the flipping business and the real estate business, but your other businesses too. I'm sure you have a lot of really good insight on working every day with your significant other and how that plays into your relationship dynamic and also your business dynamic.
Yes. It's not going to work for everyone. I can.
Right.
Agreed.
Yes, agreed.
I can say that for sure. I'm really lucky in that Dan and I we have very complementary skill sets when it comes to the requirements of running a business, right? So that would be the most important thing to understand between you and your partner. And I really love those, what is it called? The DISC assessments or personality as you operate in a business sense. What's the other one? Oh, the predictive index. That's another good one. Not that I would say, before you even think about working with your partner, take one of those assessments. But, if you don't have a good understanding, or you're new to the relationship, then have a good understanding of what your strengths and what you're bringing to the table for each of you. So for Dan and I, if you look at the real estate business, some of the important things are the networking, right? So that 9 months before we decided to purchase our first deal here in Panama City Beach, I said, well, we need to go out and we need to go to meetups. We need to talk to people about real estate. And that's just not, Dan is a very social person, but that's not his favorite thing to do. And you guys both know, like, he usually ends up talking about music at the meetups with people, because everyone loves to hear a musician talk about what they do, right? Because that's Dan's passion, right? Dan is passionate about his music and writing music and putting albums together. And someday, hopefully, we'll be able to perform out again. Whereas I love talking about real estate. Like, I've long forgotten how to have normal conversations with people.
Yeah, you and me both. Yeah.
Yeah. We just sit there and people are talking and thinking,
oh my God, can we talk about your house? Because this is killing me. I don't care about your dog or your kids.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how the real estate market's about to turn?
Oh gosh, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. But what's cool about real estate is that even people who are not in real estate, like I think about my family gatherings, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, like everybody's really interested in real estate. So even if you're in a setting where you're not like surrounded by other real estate investors, like people generally, if they hear that you're, a flipper, they're like, whoa, cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's sexy. It's
Totally.
Awesome. HGTV turned everybody into flippers or wannabe flippers.
Exactly.
It's so easy, right?
Yeah. The numbers are so straight up on them.
Oh, yes. There's lots of money to be made and no risk.
Yeah. So that's one of my strengths, right? I love the networking because I love talking about real estate. Whereas my management style can be a bit brusque. My communication style can be a bit brusque. And so that has not lent itself as well as Dan to the management of people within our organization. And in the flipping business, that includes our contractors, right? So we have sort of segmented our operations to where I work on a lot of the front end stuff, the stuff that requires networking and relationships and conversations, including raising money. So I've done a lot of capital raising in the last year. In fact, we've raised 7 figures for our flipping business in the last 10 months. Wow. So we've been able to move off of using like the hard money lenders. And now we've got several partners in our pool of private money lenders, which, works out, as you guys know, usually smoother and brings in a better return for you. So whereas Dan he's really good with project management and if there's a problem, he's just a little bit, how do I say this diplomatically he's just smoother. He deals with problems and workmanship in a calmer fashion than I tend to.
Calm, cool, collected.
Yeah, let me just interject there. Maggie and I were not fans of a couple contractors for sure. Noel, those kind of people, not to mention names, because of our management style.
Yes, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. In my case, I'm just lucky that I have someone to delegate those tasks to. And so, he has this, he manages and services the schedule to check in on projects, right? Progress, making payments to the contractors is within his wheelhouse, checking on, the checklist, workmanship type stuff. And if there is an issue, he's just really good at making that contractor feel he's very unthreatening in his communication style. And that's actually one of his strongest traits in that predictive index personality test that he did is he is completely non-threatening communication style, which if anybody's ever worked with a contractor knows You better be careful with their fragile ego. And I'm not careful. I'm a bull in a china shop. I'm like, why would you do it that way? So that's kind of how we divide and conquer the business. Really, a lot of my time is spent on the front end, raising money, finding deals. I'm also very analytical. So like vetting deals, looking at the market, making offers, negotiation, like I love that stuff. And like, I'm the spreadsheet queen. So I have a spreadsheet for everything. So I love the numbers. I love, vetting deals. So I do a lot of that front end stuff. And then once the deal's under contract, I've like already lost interest. So he takes over.
Maggie, can I ask something? Okay. Because the private money aspect is always people's, they're very interested in that part. Do you feel like it was a pivotal time when you did the Bill Allen and that?
Yes.
Was that, can you go back to that and then say how that worked for you?
Yeah. So Bill Allen's 30 days to 500K challenge. Highly recommend it. I am someone who needs a little bit of a push here and there to get out there and put myself out there, I guess is the easiest way to say it. To get on, like posting on social media is just not, I just don't care about it. I'm like, oh God, it's like on one of the things I should be hiring a virtual assistant at this point to do that for me. Because, I've learned through so many master classes and, mentors and things that it's just like, you're going to be more successful if you outsource the things that don't motivate you.
Yeah.
And raising money is something that motivates me because, it's a huge accomplishment if you're able to do that. So, but I needed some structure around it. So, the 30 days to 500K challenge gave me that structure. It gave me a timeline. It gave me, the content. Like I was always I enjoyed learning. I'm a pretty good student, decent test taker. And, to see the fruits of that sort of labor in that challenge so quickly was amazing. And it's because, Bill Allen himself is like a master at raising money, right? And you also have that group accountability, which was an important part of that for me. Knowing that I was doing it with other people, that we were supporting each other through that 30-day challenge was awesome. And the techniques that he has for you, and I mean, it just makes all the sense in the world. It's like, there are so many people within your warm network that don't know what you're doing if you're not telling them. Mm-hmm. So really, it was just a matter of, what does he call it? Revealing your secret identity, which I hadn't really done. I hadn't really gone on my Facebook and said, hey, everybody, did you know Dan and I flip houses? And actually one of the like a concrete result of that program was like repetition, like saying my little spiel over and over again for 30 days on my Facebook lives that you're required to do helped me in those offline conversations that I was having on the phone with people that had reached out and said, hey, super cool. Didn't know you were doing this. Like I have a 401k. What can I do with it? So just the repetition was like the kind of the most important thing that came out of it for me was like polishing your talk tracks. And I was in corporate sales for a long time. Right. So like I was selling data center stuff that I forget everything because I never truly knew what I was talking about. I just had the vocabulary around it. Right. And what is so nice and like rewarding and like so much less anxiety inducing about my career now is that I actually do understand what I'm talking about.
Right.
And I don't have to worry that some VP of IT is going to call my ass out for like, you actually don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that's great. I think private money is one of the biggest obstacles that new investors face. Where do you think you would tell them to start? You'd recommend going and finding Bill Allen's challenge and doing that, or would you have them start someplace else? What do you think people who are just getting into raising money, where do you think you would?
Yeah, I would recommend the challenge because I think it's been sort of ongoing. I still like check the hashtag 30 days to 500K challenge. So yeah, there's cycles of that happening. It's a very, very small upfront investment to get into the program. I don't even know if he's charging anymore, but I mean, I paid what, like $50, $100?
$100.
So yeah, so that would be a great place to start. But I will say this, that I do not think it's as easy as a lot of people say it is to do your first deal with somebody else's money entirely.
Sure.
A lot of people don't like hearing that, and I'm sorry, but my suggestion would be this: if you don't have the access to any capital, like if you don't have any money to start investing with, then network and do the education piece of it. Mm-hmm. Because, if you can't get out there and boots on the ground, start flipping houses yourself, there's really like three pieces, right? There's the experience of doing it, mm-hmm. and there's networking, and there's education. So the three-legged stool, right? So if you can't be actually out there because you haven't raised private funds and you don't have the money to flip yourself, then you better be at every single meetup. Yeah. You better be reading every book and listening to every podcast for the education piece of it. Because if you strengthen those two areas, then you're going to know what you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. And when you get in front of the people that could potentially help you as a private money lender, you're gonna sound educated, right? And then my last suggestion would be partnering with people. So if you can go out there and be the one finding a good deal, like if you put a good deal under contract, like you typically, there might be an EMD deposit of a couple $1,000s, but if you can find a good deal and put a deal under contract, and you have those connections and you have the education to know that it's a good deal, then the money will come. Mm-hmm. Like you're gonna, the most important piece of it is having a good deal. If you have a good deal, the money will come. And that's just what I found in my experience.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. That's really good information.
Yep.
Well, what I've learned from this podcast today is, one, pick a spouse that compliments you, not one that aggravates you, or maybe they compliment you and aggravate you, right?
Yes.
Pay attention to personality types. And just off the top, if people are wondering about the DISC personality type and where to go, if you just Google Tony Robbins DISC, I think a free one comes up, and then you can get a more in-depth analysis for like $10 or something. In there, the predictive index, I think that's a little bit more expensive, and you either got to know somebody who's using it, or I don't know any free versions of the predictive index. When you're looking for money, know what you're talking about, right? And if you can get on that 30-day to 500K challenge, you'd be in a good spot. Is there anything else that you would want somebody to have told you when you first started, when you first moved down here, about real estate, or something that you wish you would have known before you got started?
Yeah, I mean, what I've learned is there's really, what's that saying? There's more than one way to skin a cat, right? I don't like that saying. There's more than one way to slice an apple.
Okay, we'll go with that.
There's more than one way to slice an apple, right? So our goal is not to, flip a bunch of houses because I love flipping houses. Okay. Our goal ultimately is $30,000 a month in passive income. So I would say from the beginning, think about what the goal is. Like what, you know, what's your life goal? Do you want to be a millionaire? I mean, I don't really like, we're pretty simple people. I want to be on vacation 100% of the time, like, and, you know, have a catamaran in the Bahamas. So, okay, how do we make that happen? Well, I think with $30,000 a month in passive income, we could pretty much be traveling and be on vacation 100% of the time and do some pretty cool stuff, right? And have some security. Like, you know, if we need to end up taking care of one of our parents, like that would be possible. If we end up having kids, like there's room for that in the income that we're bringing in. So reverse engineer to your goal. And so for us, flipping is one of the ways that we're bringing in active income to then turn around and invest in passive income producing assets. And there's more than one way to slice an apple, right? So this market right now, it's tough. It's tough to find a deal. It's tough to get your margins, especially for us when we don't do any direct mail marketing. We rely on, you know, relationships with wholesalers and with real estate agents in the area. And, you know, sometimes here and there, like somebody in our neighborhood we might hear of that's, you know, getting old and wants to sell, something like that. But other than that, we're pretty dependent on the other cogs in the wheel to make our business work. So in a tough market like this, you know, we've realized that it might be beneficial to, you know, bring in some additional streams of active income. So generate some additional revenue streams, because in order to get to $30,000 a month in passive income in less than 4 years, by the way, that's our goal. So in 4 years or less, we want to be at our goal, which means when you reverse engineer to that, we need to be making almost 7 figures in active income, because our living costs are, you know, we need like $50,000 a year for our mortgage, for our fixed expenses, all the, you know, living small stuff. So if we can keep our expenses at around $50,000 a year, bring in close to 7 figures flipping, and be investing that all in a, you know, average annualized rate of return in investments that are about 10% rate of return, then we're going to be there in less than 4 years. So if I break down even further and say, okay, well, how many houses do we have to flip, you know, at an average profit of like 25 to 30,000, how many houses do we have to flip in a year? Well, it's 30. Okay. So 30 houses a year. And then, you know, in this market, well, that's it's a tough run right now. Yeah. So in thinking about this, and we kind of recently actually sat down like around the new year and we said, okay, like we're not great about like vision, right? Like we don't have like a vision board. We're just like, yeah, someday we're going to be retired. So a lot of, you know, people like you guys, like successful real estate investors, people that know the value of like surrounding yourself with, you know, people more successful than yourself. Because of those associations, we realized that, okay, you know, we should probably first and foremost, like define our goals and be very specific about it. So that's the $30,000 a month in passive income within 4 years. How do we get there? 30 houses a year. Ooh, well, in this market, that's going to be really tough. So I'm actually doing a coaching program with Ariane Lemire from GH Houses, but she's put together a kind of a passive income boot camp that I did in the fall, which was kind of a soft launch. But then this winter, she decided to offer like a one-on-one coaching program to some of her investors who like have a little bit more experience and are looking to really like, you know, take things up a notch. So we've been doing this coaching program and, you know, she understands better than a lot of people the challenges of this kind of market. And so we looked at overall, what else do we have experience in, and what other streams of revenue could we potentially be looking at? Because, you know, a lot of these really successful investors know that it doesn't exactly have to be flipping that gets you there. It doesn't exactly have to be wholesaling but it does have to be a business that your strengths lend themselves to, and that you can build to 7 figures. So it's funny. We look at, we have a couple of rental properties that I've been managing since like 2017. So we have vacation rentals here in Panama City Beach. So, you know, she has this awesome spreadsheet that, you know, you put your real estate owned in, it shows you your return and stuff. And so in the course of these conversations, she's like, well, you know, you actually have like a lot of experience in property management. Have you ever considered like managing? And I have had so many people ask me to manage their vacation rentals.
Yeah.
And I've always said like, oh no, like I'm not interested in that. But she's like, when you talk about property management, you get like really excited, because I'm really proud. Like we're super hosts on Airbnb. We have like literally almost perfect star reviews on our rentals. You know, we have that prior experience in a very like operations intensive business. And so long story short, we are building and launching a property management company. And we're actually going to be exclusive initially to the Dunes of Panama condos, which is where we are also owners.
Right.
So you know, I love flipping, but in this market, you have to be adaptable. And in order to stay on track to our larger passive income goals, it's more risky for me to 100% depend on the flipping than it is to build and onboard, you know, new owners to a property management company, which I'm super excited about. So you guys are the first to know this. Congratulations.
We'll keep it a secret.
Congratulations. And it's going to be called Salted Stays, because Salted Homes is the flipping company.
Yeah.
I love that.
And yeah, so I'm in the middle of just sort of like getting the marketing material together. We're going to send out a mailer to all the owners over there. And
nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that as well.
That's so cool. We've had a lot of people ask us this. JD and I've talked about too, just like you said, to have other streams of income. And because, as you know, we know what bad management can do to your rentals. And so it can be a killer. So that's super awesome. I'm happy for you guys.
Yeah. Super happy.
Do you guys know Christy and Mike Rowe?
We just had them on our podcast, and they're going to be the week before you. This will publish.
That's perfect.
Yep, we did.
Yeah, so we had lunch with them last week, and I was like, guess what?
We're stealing your business model and putting it into play in our own.
Exactly. Well, they are so smart. Their business model is very, very smart. And so, yes, it's like, but that's what investing is.
Yes.
You're not reinventing the wheel with flipping.
It's all been done before.
So find some other successful people and just copy what they're doing.
Yep.
I think that's going to be the name of this episode. Find successful people and copy what they're doing. And if everybody did that, they could really, really take off at such a faster rate than a lot of us who tried to learn it the hard way first.
Yeah. It's true.
That's true. Yeah. Christy's helped us be able to offer different packages to have a little bit of other source of stream.
Yeah.
So,
great. They're great.
For sure. Yeah, but it's true. And this all goes back to like what you first started talking about, networking. I mean, having those relationships with other people, especially in the community, but even outside of the community, just what you learn from each other and the friendship and what you can each share, because thinking that you can't share stuff is such a scarcity mindset. Because like Christy said earlier, we're not competition, because we can all do it and still be successful at it. But it sure helps to have somebody to ask questions to, or ask what works for them and ask what doesn't work for them, and to help each other out.
Yep.
That's what I love about being in this closer knit, because we're kind of a small community. That's one of my favorite things about it.
Yeah. that's initially what really drew me to the Bigger Pockets community also.
Yeah.
Because as everybody knows, there is a lot of like scammy, spammy, guru type people in the real estate industry. And, a lot of people get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And so when I found initially way back when, found the Bigger Pockets community, I just knew, I said, this is it. This is the community that I needed to get me started. And then ending up here in Panama City Beach, it's a small, tight knit community, but everyone is just so open and honest about successes and struggles,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yes.
Very much so. Agree. Yep. But thank you. We are way over time.
Way over time. You just had so much value. We couldn't shut it off.
Did, Maggie. You were awesome.
Yeah. Maggie, we really appreciate you coming on. Can you give us real quick where people could find you if they want to reach out or get more information about what you and Dan are doing and that kind of stuff? Where can they go to see more about you?
And plug Salted Stays too, Maggie.
Yeah. So property management, saltedstays.com. I just published the website yesterday. So work in progress. And then you can find me on social. I'm at Maggie Médal. So that's Maggie, Maggie. Médal is Medal. That's on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to email me, at saltedhomes@gmail.com.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's really great. Well, Maggie, thank you so much for finding time to hang out with us today. And I can't wait to see you again.
We'll see
you guys.
Yeah.
I'll see you next week, Melissa. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thanks, Maggie.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com. Or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.